Hello folks, you join us here at Fernhill Garden Centre for the next thrilling episode of Among the Ferns. Would you say hello to my expert host here, Mr. Eoin Reid? Eoin, how are you?
How are you keeping? You well?
Well, I'm mighty. The sun is cracking the flags on today, and it's always shining.
We organise it for you. It costs a fucking fortune to sort it out, but we organise it every time.
You see, you don't need this canopy because I'm sure you never use it.
Never use it, no.
Well, come here. As I say, you find us beyond, among the ferns today with the sun absolutely belting down. What are we going to be talking about on this episode, Eoin?
We're going to go back to basics and we're going to really start at the very beginning. A lot of people kind of wonder, how do I go about planning my garden?
Oh.
And even if you do have an existing garden and you want to do a refurb on it, you want to do a different section, there's a couple of simple basic principles you have to adhere to get the best out of your garden. And if you start off with those little basic kind of hints and tricks, it'll make your job a lot easier. Your end product will be a lot better, and you'll probably save yourself a small fortune as well.
Lovely. So where's our first port of call?
We're going to go over and sit down and have a chat.
Well, Eoin, this is a nice spot you've brought us to here. We're going to be planning the garden. So let's just imagine the scene then. We've just bought a new house. Mm-hmm. There's absolutely nothing apart from maybe just a lawn, maybe just the basic grass there at the back of the garden. What can we do? How are we going to get it looking nice?
The simplest thing to do is slow down first of all, and plan. It's like everything. It's like if you're planning your kitchen. You put a lot of thought into it. You will go online, you go on to Pinterest, you go on to you get as much information as you can, try and get as much of your ideas as you can. You do the exact same thing with regarding your garden. And your garden will be designed around your lifestyle. You've got to remember your lifestyle. Are you a young family? Are you a retired couple? All these things will feed into what way you design your garden. So everybody's garden is going to be different.
I suppose if you're a young family, you'd rather like a large lawn for the kids to play on.
Exactly. So your garden will evolve. We're in the gardening game for a long time. We've done clients' gardens where probably some people are on their third regeneration of the same garden because we're redesigning the garden to suit their next lifestyle. It started off where it was geared towards the kids, and then it was geared towards low maintenance, and now it's geared towards the want to put in a fruit garden, or decided that it's just too big and they're going to just let some of it off wild. So your garden evolves with you over a period of time. So it's very important to slow down, think about what you want, get a bit of paper, write down your ideas, and go online. There's a huge amount of information online. There's a couple of very simple rules of design, garden design, that should always take into consideration. And they're very, very, very basic. And I'm going to list them out. Unity, balance, proportion, scale, rhythm, contrast, focal points, and texture. They're about 7 basic principles. And to expand on them, what you're trying to do really is, if you've got a site and it's sitting in the middle of a rural area, you've got to blend that in with your locality. So what I mean by that is you've got to select the trees to go in around the site, to pull the site into the locality, and not have the site sticking out like a sore thumb or a concrete jungle.
Yeah.
So unity with your surroundings. Now you could be in a small little tiny balcony garden. Same thing. You got to blend it in. So you got to
It's in proportion.
You got to work with what's around you. Balance is kind of making sure that you don't put all the garden on one side and do nothing on the other side. It's a question of making sure the whole thing is simply and balanced together. Proportion is down to scale. So you wouldn't put massive big trees into a small garden. You wouldn't put massive big plants into a small bed. So it's all about proportion. And scale is the same. If you've got a very large garden, you got to think big. You got to put in large shrub beds. You got to put in large trees. If you're in a very small garden, you got to think small. Bring everything back together.
I suppose, but if you have a small garden, it's making it look bigger than it is.
There's tricks. There's a lot of psychology in garden design where you can actually make people think that they're going somewhere. You can lead them on a journey somewhere, or you can hide your boundaries with soft planting. So there's lots of little subtle tricks. And once you kind of sit down and think about all these things, do your research online. That's the wonderful thing about online now. There's a huge amount of research. A lot of it can be rubbish, but you'll get something out of it that'll be in context to your own self.
Yeah. I suppose we should also mention the actual the quality of the ground itself and how much work needs in preparing the ground for drainage or whatever.
That's absolutely crucial, and you're right. And you probably would be doing that before you even come down to your basic design work. When it comes to your site preparation, you make sure that you've got good drainage in, that you've got good soil in. They're the two things. If your soil is not good, work on it and make it good. What I mean by that is, if you happen to come into a site and you know that the soil has been stripped bare and there's nothing left there, you've only got 6 inches of soil, you're not going to grow a garden on 6 inches of soil. You might grow a lawn on 6 inches, but when it comes to the flower beds and that, you need at least 18 inches of soil. So you will have to make sure that you put in the infrastructure there for that. If you've got an area that's holding water and you can't drain to it, well, then you're going to have to make that into a bog garden. You're going to have to decide, okay, I'm not going to get a cricket lawn in there, but I might get a bog garden in there.
Yeah.
So you adapt to the environment that you have, and you got to not be spending money wastefully trying to create something that's impossible to create without spending a huge amount of money. Contrast, focal points and texture are very important. Contrast means that you kind of have different types of foliage in around the garden. You might go from your ferns to your bamboos. These all give you different foliage, and then and texture as well. Focal points, you pick your main plants that will stand out of the crowd. They're very, 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 very fundamental. We'll be talking about trees in the next episode, and they're what we will consider focal points. So we'll expand a bit more on that in the next episode. So they are fundamentally the very, very basic things that you need to take into consideration. Then you can expand it from there, as we said at the top of the show, in that you then decide, right, I've got a half-acre site here. I need to be able to access the back door. So you lay the driveway out to be able to access the back door. I'd like to have a bit of foundation planting in around the house to soften it so that it blends it in and brings it in unity into the site. Then you position your patio in the best position. The patio's got to be somewhere close to the back door, the kitchen ideally, but more important, it's got to be in the sun. Has to be in the sun. If your back door area is not in the sun, well, then you got to put a small little patio outside the back door, but you got to put a larger patio out into the garden where the sun is, because we don't get a lot of sun here in Ireland. When you do get it, you got to use it. So you got to really think where the sun is, and you got to think where the sun is at the time of the day when you can enjoy the garden. No point in putting a patio somewhere where it's dark when you're out there enjoying it. So you got to think about all these little things and say, right, 7 o'clock in the evening, I'm going to be home here. Where's the sun? So you may have to actually put a patio in a position that you would never have thought of. But then you design the whole garden around to make that look right. So they're the fundamental things. You start off with your movement on the site, where you want to dine, entertain, and then you put the functionality into the garden around that. So if you are into growing veg, right, I want to put my veg garden here. If you've got young kids, I need to put an area here for them to kick ball, or an area here for put a set of swings. I need to be able to keep an eye on the kids when they're on the swing, so I want to position that somewhere close to the way. So there's so many moving points on a garden design that you really need to write them all down, mush them all together, and then come up with a couple of concepts. And don't be afraid to ask for advice.
And of course, if you do have poor quality ground in terms of drainage and everything, you can always add texture by using lots of raised beds and planters and things.
There's always a solution in gardening. I mean, if you take the extreme of gardening, a rooftop garden, for example, there's lots of rooftop gardens being developed all over Ireland at the moment, because apartments and all that are becoming a big thing. They've got to transport every single thing up to the top of that roof with a crane and make it into an oasis, and it can be done. So nothing's impossible. It's all about budget. It's all about common sense and what you can and can't do in the area.
Well, I suppose since we're heading towards the end of July now, what can we do at this sort of late point in the summer in terms of planting and stuff like that?
Well, you can plant all year round. That's the good thing about Ireland, because everything's in a container. And once anything's in a container, you can plant all year round. But what's very, very popular at the moment really is that people are planting their herbaceous colour. And bringing that back into the design portfolio when it comes to when you want to plant your garden, you put your basic principles together, you get your general layout done, then you start building your garden. So the first thing you do is you put in your lawns. Second thing you do is you put in your flower beds. The next thing you do after that then is just start expanding the flower beds. And one little trick I would always advise people of doing when they are doing their beds is come and visit your local garden centre throughout the seasons, because you'll pick up plants in the garden centre. Unless you're a gardening expert and you know exactly what plants go where, it's very hard to get colour all year round. So it's very important that you start off, first of all, you put in your focal plants, and then you start to build up out your beds with the various colours for the different times of year. So visit your gardens on a regular basis. You will pick out plants that you are looking good now, for example, in July. You can visit a garden centre in August or September, October. You pick out the plants that look well then. So you leave gaps for those types of plants.
Yeah.
But when you are designing your flower beds, you've got to be very, very aware of what works well with what heights they're going to grow. So you've got to make sure that, like here in Fernhill, we lay out our plants that you've got your perennial flowers, you've got your large shrubs, you've got your small shrubs, you've got your headers, you've got your alpines. So they're all laid out in the gardens that are here for you to choose. When it comes to putting them into your garden, you've got to do it the exact same way. Put your tall plants to the back, you put your small plants to the front, and then you try and mix it up with evergreen and deciduous colour, texture, foliage, focal points. So it's in a 10 or 15 yard space, you've got something interesting at any one time of the year. There's something happening in that space that's giving you a wow effect for every time of the year. And that's the trick.
Yeah.
That's the real trick.
And of course, if you're unsure of, or if you're stuck for ideas or anything, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, there's experts everywhere. I mean, we've 7, 8 horticulturists here at Fernhill. There's always at least 2 or 3 on stand at any one time. Most good garden centres around the country would be similar. There's always horticulturists there. Bring in your ideas. As no matter how madcap they are, the whole purpose of this particular podcast we're talking about now really is to give you the basic rules, simple rules: unity, balance, proportion, scale, rhythm, contrast, focal points, texture. Those simple rules.
Yeah.
And then your lifestyle. And then the site constraints. What can your site do? What can it not do? Is it north facing? Is it south facing? Is it very windy?
Yeah. And
is it sheltered? All these little things will build up your garden.
Sure. And what time do you have yourself to actually maintain the garden? You don't want to overface yourself if you're a busy working couple.
Yeah, well, that'll come down to the little details of how you finish your flower beds. I mean, grass is probably the biggest area of time required in your garden. So how big is your lawn? Are you going to go for a robot lawnmower? That eliminates the grass straight away. How big do you want to make the flower beds? What kind of finish will I put in the flower beds? Will I leave them with a bare soil finish? Will I put a landscape fabric down and cover it with bark? Will I cover it with stone? Will I put some peat moss on it? All these things will decide how much time you're going to spend in the garden, and how much time you want to spend in the garden.
And of course, trees and shrubs, as you say, are a nice focal point. But also you could add, say, water features and sculptures and things.
Water features are an area, like that. If when you're doing your list of what you want in your garden and you decide, I'd love a water feature, well, then you build it and design it into it. Yeah. And then you ask the question, where's the best position for a water feature? And generally the best position for a water feature is somewhere in a nice open area, close to where you're relaxing. So in other words, close to your patio. Or within visual of your patio. If you happen to have a very large garden, you could use it as a focal point at the bottom of the garden to draw you down. So you see a pond down there with a fountain going up in there, you're sitting on the patio, it draws you down to that area, but you'd always want to put a resting area close to it so you can sit down and enjoy it, see the fish in the pond, etc., etc. Yeah. There's lots of features like that. You've got your water features, you've got all sorts of various kind of attractions that will make your garden very, 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 but water is a super thing to be able to get into your garden.
I'd always build a water feature quite close to the house because the sound of trickling water always makes me need the loo.
There's little tricks on that one. You can
cross your legs.
Not that one, but there's little tricks on water features. You can buy these self-contained water features, which are very popular now, you just they're what we call plug-and-play water features. Yeah. So without having to go to the whole big effort of digging out a pond and putting in all these bits and pieces, you can buy these water features, which literally once again, like back down to good design. Make sure you got an electric socket outside somewhere in the garden, close to the patio, so that you can plug this thing in and it gives you the sound of water, without having to go through all the drama of digging holes, etc., etc.
Or use a solar-powered one.
Solar powered aren't great because unfortunately,
they don't get much sun.
Well, the power is not strong. They work, but they don't get a huge amount of power out of them. They might work in other countries, but here in Ireland, they want a very serious solar panel to work. Yeah. We have them for sale here, but they're usually very small little features, tiny little things that just give you a little trickle. The ground for the birds and that, but you want to get a decent bit of noise, you want to be going for plug-in power.
Now, obviously, Eoin, the viewers can see exactly where we are, but for the benefit of the people listening to us today, just describe the location that we're in at the moment.
We're in the middle of our outdoor living area at the moment, which will contain all of our garden furniture and barbecues and parasols, etc., for your outdoor patio area.
Yeah.
So these are all various types of furniture that would be appropriate for your patio.
Yeah. Talking of patio areas, we have one or two questions that have come through, and one is actually on the subject of patios. Could you ask Eoin to recommend a good size patio? I suppose that's relative to the size of the garden, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But the minimum size patio area you need to be able for it to function, for a set of furniture like that. This is a large set of furniture. This is an 8-seater set of furniture. But if you want a 6-seater set of furniture, which would be average, 4 to 6-seater set of furniture, and a space for barbecue and a few pots on it, you need a minimum of 35 square meters to 40 square meters would be functioning area for you to be able to do all that you require. Now, if you've got a very large garden, you could extend that quite a bit. But if you've got a medium to small garden, that's the kind of functionality space you require.
You can have like little sort of pathways leading up to it as well.
You can. And the materials that people are using now, it's changed over the years. It used to be a lot of decking.
I was going to say, do you remember the time when decking was hugely popular back in the 90s, wasn't it?
Decking was very popular, and it's still used to a certain extent. It's mainly the polymer varieties though, which are kind of plastic decking, which are very good with a steel structure underneath it. The old decking used to be kind of softwood, tannalized timber, and it did a great job, but you might get 20 years out of it. So at this stage now, they're all starting to come to end of life, so they are. But they were very, very functional because a lot of people would have a step up into the house, and it was a great way of coming straight out of your house, straight onto your deck, and then down further again.
I thought they looked terrific. I left them.
No, they are. They're fantastic. Where it's at now, we're currently on. This is all brick paving, which is very, very popular, very functional, and relatively inexpensive.
And of course, it's at ground level rather than the decking on a raised
level. But what's popular at the moment is either natural stone patios or porcelain tile patios. Porcelain tile used to be exceptionally expensive, but it's come down a lot in price over the last number of years, competition, etc., and they become a very, very good non-slip solution for outside as well. So, and they're quite stylish. So we've seen a lot of people upgrading their patios to porcelain tile now over the last number of years.
And of course the furniture, again at one stage, you get the old teak oil and run it over the wooden deck chairs and things, but these days, do you actually sell any wooden furniture?
Very little, no. It's all aluminium. This is aluminium here at the moment, and rattan, which is the woven fabric. That's becoming a little bit less. It tends to be going all towards aluminium. Of course, aluminium being aluminium, it's maintenance free, so there's no work on them, and a lot of them are looking like a wood effect like this.
Yeah, I mean this is aluminium, isn't it?
It's aluminium, yeah.
Jeepers, with like a veneer on it.
Yeah, and they've all got a lot of the furniture because furniture is outside in the weather. It's generally got at least 3 to 5 years warranty on it. And for anything to be able to sit outside in the weather 3 to 5 years, it has to be very well made, so that it's going to last the test of time.
Yeah, perfect. Shall we take another question?
Sure.
We mentioned earlier on in the programme about groundwork and things.
Yeah.
And someone here has popped a question about soil itself. And how do I know what type of soil I have? I suppose that's a question, isn't it? How would you know that?
Yeah, it's a very good question, really, because not everybody would be trained in horticulture or agriculture to understand. But take some samples of your soil, go out with your spade, dig it up, see how deep the soil is, and take up a sample and bring it into a garden centre, the likes of ourselves, and say, listen, what kind of soil is this? What kind of, will it do? Will it be able to plant X, Y, and Z?
Do you have a little test?
We test for telling exactly what type of pH there is, but more important than that, just a good sample in your hand, you'll be able to figure out whether it's good organic matter in it, whether it's dobby, whether it's sandy, and we'll be able to tell you what type of soil. The perfect soil is a soil that is free draining, has got a high organic matter content in it, and is quite deep. In other words, your average soil in around here in the Midlands topsoil might be a foot 18 inches deep, if you're lucky, if it's on land that you're building on straight away. But if you go into a building site, a housing estate, the builder might have only put 6 inches of soil back on that area again, and that's where the problems occur.
Yeah.
So you
might need a digger or something just to get a good grounding.
Get a good ground. Yeah.
Find that there's remnants of the old house there.
It's very important, really, to try and get your soil right, because if you can just think about it logically, it's the foundation of your garden. And if you've got bad soil and you come along and start planting everything into this bad soil, you're just going to have bad results.
Yeah.
So it's very important. Invest in your soil. It's not going to cost a small fortune. Be a little bit laboursome. You might have to dig out some of the soil that's there currently, put in new soil, or as you spoke about earlier on, put in some raised beds.
Yeah.
Raised beds is a very quick way of leaving the soil that you have there, improved a bit for where the lawn is, because lawn will grow in 6 inches of soil. Your shrubs in that need 18 inches of soil. So to get that, you maybe end up putting in raised beds. So you'd be quite clever. Go back to our original conversation about design. Design in such a way that you can put raised beds in, and that it's a quick and easy and effective way of doing it.
Right. Here's a daft question for you. What's the difference between topsoil and compost?
Topsoil is natural soil. So in other words, a soil that has developed over the centuries, the millennia, from the environment. So it's naturally occurring. It's sitting there. It would have originally been just probably gravel, but over the years, then with plants breaking down, it's built up a layer of what's called topsoil. And in some parts of the world, topsoil can be quite deep. In other parts of the world, it's quite shallow. In some parts of the world, you might have very little at all. So topsoil is a natural occurring soil from the area. And some areas have got excellent topsoil. Some areas have got very poor topsoil. The more north you go, as you know yourself, you're up in Leitrim and North Roscommon, the soil up there can be quite heavy and dobby. But you go right down to Enniscorthy and Wexford and fabulous soil. You know, the arable lands. So you can nearly tell by the type of farming that's going around the area how good or bad your topsoil is. Compost is something that you can either buy here in a local garden centre. It's compost. It's generally a peat-based compost, or a product that has broke down over time, or it can be your own compost from your waste in your garden that's broke down over a period of time. Compost is stuff that's been composted over a period of time. Topsoil is natural soil that's there for millennia.
Perfect. Well, I think that wraps up this edition of Among the Ferns. Thank you as always for your expertise. Now, next time, what are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about trees, because we're going into the details now. We're going to be, in the next number of podcasts, we're going to go into specific areas, and trees are a very important part of gardening, and you have to be very careful in your selection of trees.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Eoin. And from all of us here at Fernhill Garden Centre, remember you can catch up with our previous podcasts. Wherever you find your podcast, just go to Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, and you'll find them all there. Just type in Among the Ferns, and there we are. Until next time, happy gardening.
Bye-bye.